Let's move right on to Alfred Weber. Alfred's book, Exopolitics, A Decade of Contact, came out in the year 2000. He founded Exopolitics, the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. Using advanced quantum access technology, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, and the CIA time-traveled Alfred's book, Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, 2005, from 2005 back to 1971, when an unwitting Alfred was examined by a group of approximately 50 CIA and DARPA officials who knew Alfred would be a leading future extraterrestrial and time travel whistleblower and would become the developer of the exopolitics and dimensional ecology models of the Omniverse. Alfred's new book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse, integrates empirical data from intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations and from the intelligent civilizations of souls in the interlife and demonstrates a new hypothesis of a functioning ecology of intelligence in the dimensions in the Omniverse. Alfred is a graduate of Yale University and Yale Law School in international law and was a Fulbright scholar in international economic integration in Uruguay. He has taught economics at Yale University and constitutional law at the University of Texas. Alfred was general counsel to the New York City Environmental Protection Administration, a futurist at Stanford Research Institute, where he directed the proposed 1977 Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study, and was a NGO delegate to the United Nations and the Unispace Conference. Alfred is active with nonprofit organizations concerned with peace, the environment, human rights and social injustice, consciousness, and intelligent life in the Omniverse, including the Mars Anomaly Research Society. Alfred's investigative journalism has been featured on CBS, CNN, True TV, Press TV, and other mainstream TV networks, and has exposed an international war crimes racketeering organization using exotic technologies such as the HARP aerosol chemtrails weapon system for tectonic and weather warfare, mind control, and other depopulation programs. And for more on this, you can visit www.ecologynews.com. Alfred is currently developing Exo University, an educational entity whose goal is to provide web-based, interactive, continuing education, research, information, and policy regarding exopolitics, sci-sciences, exosciences, to individuals and institutions throughout the world. Again, also an honor to have you back with us, Alfred. Welcome to the broadcast.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I have the honor to be here with three individuals who Randy most recently, who have really affected are affecting my life deeply. Andy Bashago, Laura Eisenhower, and now Randy, who has come in as the most recent Mars experiencer that I've been able to have personal contact with and interact with. What I've done in this subject matter since being involved in it, and it's rather complex because I wrote the book Exopolitics in 1999 here in Vancouver, Canada, and it was published in the year 2005. Andy Bashago was my editor, and sometime thereafter, either through some sort of time travel technology. We know that a DARPA CIA joint project, Project Pegasus, time traveled it back to 1971, where Andy, in the company of two other witnesses, saw it in person, and it was part of the project. And I can sort of cross-verify that because in 1971, I was general counsel of the New York City EPA. Part of my duties were to speak publicly on the environment. I was asked to speak to a group on that day. A man in a suit showed up. As very unlike the students and housewives that I generally spoke to. We traveled for about 2 hours. I came to a building. There were about 50 people there. Again, all men in suits or ties, and I could tell, through my double vision that they weren't normal people. They were government agents of some sort, and they knew something about me, and I was being surveyed. So I kept my cool. I just gave them my usual environmental stump speech, and during my talk, several of the 50, in fact, a relatively large number, were gawking at me and trying to knock me off balance. And of course, I knew that there was some sort of intelligence operation going on. Well, it turned out I put it together after 2005 and talking with Andy and his knowledge of Project Pegasus, and having seen the book back in 1971, that these were CIA and DoD employees who had been briefed on my book and perhaps what I would be doing at this time, perhaps being on this very broadcast. We don't know what the detail of their time travel surveillance is, and who wanted to see me in real time at that time. So we are now knowing through all of us as a community of delegates, delegated people like Randy is under a specific article of the military code, under under the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, coming forward to reestablish constitutional order in the U.S. Like Laura, like Andy, like Dr. Dream, who's providing a platform here. From that time forward, in 2005, I began seeking out and interviewing the various Mars explorers and Mars whistleblowers, including others who are not on this program. Brett Stillings, who's been mentioned here, Bernie Mendez, Arthur Neumann, who was a federal laboratory scientist who teleported to Mars for a project, meeting there with various ET societies, and of course Michael Relf, who of all of the project whistleblowers to date, his experiences on Mars seem the most consistent of that version of Mars with Randy Kramer's, and of course with Laura, who has been a great teacher and interpreter of the larger picture, of sort of the cosmic picture of why this is occurring at this time in the larger universe and the larger cosmos. And so, in that context, I feel that this is truly an historic meeting at this time, and I'm very grateful that all of this came together, and that perhaps this can be the first step of a movement of open reunion of Mars experiencers. And I believe that it is very important, and I know that Andy will be talking in the next section as to his experiences of Mars, but I believe that it is very important to bring together all of these different pictures, because if we sit down and look at it now, one could ask, knowing from what I know about Andy and Brett Stillings and Bernard Mendez and Michael Ralph's and Randy Kramer's experiences, we can ask, well, did they all go to the same planet? And one of the items that comes up is, well, from speaking with Andy, the major focus there, and that, of course, is because the major focus of his experiences were with the human, the various human exophenotypes on Mars, namely, and these are terms that he has developed: Homo martis terris, Homo martis martis, and Homo martis extraterrestrialis. Homo martis terris being sort of our generic cousins. And they are people who are essentially like us. They're the people who were sort of the other half of the common interplanetary society that Earth and Mars had prior to the solar system catastrophe of 9500 BC, when a fragment of the Vela supernova came into the solar system and made Mars an obloid planet, and greatly damaged our own planet and destroyed a great maritime civilization that we had here, and they went underground. And they look very similar to us, and Andy and his father have met them at in New Jersey at a military base, and perhaps Andy can talk about that. Then there's Homo martis martis, which is sort of human-like. They're not the reptoid or the draconian type species that Randy Kramer speaks of, and they're more, if you remember a lot, the German classic film Nosferatu. They actually look like that. And at a nonprofit group that we have called the Mars Anomaly Research Society, projectmars.net, there are many photographs and PowerPoints. There's a PowerPoint there that you can see the various photographs from the Mars rovers of these different exophenotypes. And finally, there's the Homo martis extraterrestrialis, which look a little bit like grays. They look like grays, but they're a specific gray, a little bit human-like and a little bit gray-like, that are in and of Mars, and they are an exophenotype that I guess would fall between human and gray, but not be reptoid and not be insectoid, and they are the ones that show up on the rover photographs, comma. Also, if you go to projectmars.net, you will see extensive PowerPoints and papers that go into the reptoid and the aggressive reptoid species, intelligent reptoid species that Randy Kramer speaks of. Mm-hmm. And that you can see all of their features, their behavior, and the exophenotypes there. So in terms of applying the law of evidence, documentary evidence, here we have eyewitnesses, Randy Kramer, we have Andy Bishago, eyewitnesses, and we have the documentary evidence, the photographs from the NASA rovers, which show all exophenotypes being on Mars, namely both the human exophenotypes, Homo marchus terris, Homo marchus marchus, Homo marchus extraterrestrialis, as well as the reptoid, perhaps you could call some of them insectoid. There are also some very far out species there that are apparently of other exophenotypes. I find these very interesting because from a dimensional ecology point of view, all of these characters have souls. And hey, we could have had incarnations as Dracos on Mars, because we just need a little war experience for that side of one incarnation of the four multiple incarnations, simultaneous incarnations that, my particular soul is carrying out at that time. So I don't really, from a cosmic point of view or from an exopolitical point of view, it's important not to be too Earth-human centric when analyzing the cosmos. Although I recognize from a different point of view, as Earth humans, we're very worried about our turf. And so that's always the participant observer perspective that we have when incarnating in a particular universe, namely this universe in a particular solar system, this one on a particular planet, Earth. And I agree with Laura that this is a special planet. I mean, we have to look that 2,000 years ago, Joshua ben Joseph, according to some theories, was pretty high up soul who incarnated here as an advanced parachutist. We're sort of the after troops coming in to really reclaim this quadrant of the galaxy from a kind of universe rebellion at the soul level that from source, because there are multiple levels of drama going on at the purely sort of what I call exopolitical level in terms of the universes of time, space, energy, and matter. That is what we call the multiverse level. And I see that I have about 4 minutes and 47 seconds left. Or no, 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. This is a very complex virtual reality that actually, as an intelligent civilization of souls, together with advanced spiritual beings, together with Source itself, which compositely we all constitute what's called God. We actually create these universes, the huge, humongous number of universes in the multiverse. We create it as vehicles that we can incarnate into for soul development. So all of these characters that we're talking about, all these exophenotypes, have souls, and they're all us. Now that's the great paradox, and that's kind of the balance that one must maintain: is scientific and spiritual and emotional and species-centric balance that I think one must maintain, as well as the very humanity of of the life and the exercise that we're in, our families, our children, our spouses, our species, our nations. That's what makes this, even though it's a virtual reality, so rich. We really have just scratched the surface in this roundtable discussion, which Laura and Dr. Dream have so graciously brought together. And I really hope, and it's our intention, I think our collective intention, that those listening will really begin to tell your friends and your fellows of how rich this entire tapestry is, and begin to pass on the audio archive of this program to others, and really start listening to what's been said here, and start listening to the Mars whistleblowers and to this conversation, and make it part of the daily community conversation. So with that, I want to thank you very much and hand the talking stick back to you, Mark.
Oh, perfect, Alfred. I really have to honor each of you for just bringing your energy to this, for sharing things, for sharing your truth, for bringing your piece of the puzzle together, because each time that it expands, more of it makes sense and has a greater impact on us kind of breaking from all the hidden truths and everything.